Greetings, members one and all of the Salivation Nation. Here we are on Memorial Day. We're seeing the precious metals move up just slightly, but it looks like that gold has hit a one-week high on simmering U.S.-China trade spat. So let's take a look and see what's going on here. This is from CNBC, quoting a story from Reuters. And it looks like some of the money managers have cut net longs in gold in week to May the 21st, and it may retest resistance at $1,290, according to an analyst here. So the gold price is a touch more than a one-week high on Monday as fears of a protracted U.S.-China trade war hurt risk sentiment, while poor economic data from the U.S. bolstered bets of a U.S. Federal Reserve rate cut. Spot gold edged 0.1% higher to $1,286.21 per ounce. And earlier in the session, the metal touched at $1287.32, its highest since May 17th. We'll kind of look at the precious metal prices here momentarily. But the U.S. gold futures gained 0.2% to $1285.60 an ounce. Gold has really reversed earlier losses as risk appetite in the market maintains rather shaky, said Benjamin Liu, an analyst with Singapore-based Phillip Futures. U.S. sanctions on Hawaii and even the rest of the Chinese technology firms have really aggravated trade tensions. China on Friday denounced U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo for fabricating rumors after he said the chief executive of China's Hawaii Technologies Ltd. was lying about his company's ties to the Beijing government. You know, one of the things about Hawaii, the technology, some of their phones, is there's some spyware in there. And people were wondering even about that technology coming in to drones. DJI is the most popular drone company in the world. It's a Chinese company. A string of weak data from the United States late last week stirred up concerns that its protracted trade war with China has started taking a toll on the country's economy and promoted bets for a much-expected rate cut by the Federal Reserve. Very interesting. We've not heard, this is the first time I'm hearing about a potential rate cut. Over the weekend, U.S. President Donald Trump repeated a complaint that the Federal Reserve's policies have kept the U.S. economic growth from reaching its full potential. Further uncertainties emerged after Prime Minister Theresa May said on Friday she would quit after failing to deliver Brexit, setting up a contest that will install a new British Prime Minister, perhaps Boris Johnson, who could pursue a cleaner break from the European Union. It should be noted that her last day will be on the 7th of June. The rise in volatility triggered by geopolitics benefits the yellow metal, and if the UK political game of thrones and the US-China trade keep uncertainty levels high, gold could once again jump up above $1,300. Alfonso Esparza, who's a senior market analyst at Oenda. The U.S. dollar was struggling against a basket of six major currencies, having fallen off a two-year peak in the previous session due in part to the U.S.-China trade dispute, making gold cheaper for holders of non-U.S. currencies. Gold may retest a resistance at $12.90 an ounce, a break above which could lead to a gain to the next resistance at $12.95, according to Reuters technical analyst Wang Tao. Meanwhile, hedge funds and company money managers sharply reduced their net long positions in COMEX gold in the week of May 21st, the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commission said on Friday. Silver rose 0.3% to $14.61 per ounce, while palladium fell 0.4% to $1,329.90 an ounce. Platinum only rose 0.3% to $804.50 an ounce. And that's kind of where I wanted to go here because, you know, we can pretty much hedge our bets with gold, definitely, and with silver, mostly. With platinum and palladium, especially, we can speculate. And that's kind of what I've been doing to a degree, although I kind of do enjoy the metal. Platinum is quite an interesting metal because it is the densest of the precious metals out there. And it is also, I believe, the most undervalued. And so I made another purchase recently, which really offsets my gold acquisition goals for this year. But sometimes, because of the way the markets are, sometimes it's good to take a little bit of a risk at times. And that's what I'm doing with platinum. I'm see it really as one of the situations where it is an historic lows here really at this point. So I've accumulated a bit more platinum this year than I have in quite a while in prior years. Palladium is up. It's still the king of the four of these precious metals, and I believe it's overvalued at this point. We did see it really climb up there for a while. It's pretty interesting to see how much it has climbed over the years. And let's see if we can somehow see the palladium charts here and kind of see what's going on with them. It's not showing this, but it's not giving us the historic palladium charts in this window here. But they have climbed up quite a bit over the past, and they've actually started to come back down. But platinum has not yet risen to catch up with palladium, and there, I believe that we will see a time when they come into parity with each other, and when that does happen, I believe we will see both the prices come up. They may meet somewhere in the middle, or they could both edge up right above gold. We'll see how it plays out. Both those metals are rare. I believe actually palladium is somewhat more rare than platinum, but platinum is they say between 20 and 50 times rarer than gold, and gold is obviously much more rare than silver. And platinum is way undervalued in my view. So we'll see how this all plays out. Nonetheless, it is interesting to see the movement of these metals and what their percentages are, and because of what's going on with the trade talks. But even with the trade talks and the fears there, it's really not climbing up that much, which makes you kind of wonder. When some of these events happen, when the metals are when they're not moving quite as much as we think they should. But it is one of those things where a lot of this news, it is kind of, it ebbs and flows from day to day. And tomorrow we can have a different sentiment on trade. There becomes some breakthrough. When you have some worries about the U.S. economy, about where things are domestically. They didn't talk about the Chinese economy, but the Chinese economy isn't doing so hot, really. And so that's something that we have to really keep in mind, too, because our economy is stronger, I believe, and more resilient also. And I think that's kind of what Trump is betting on in some of these trade talks. But we'll see how it all plays out. Nonetheless, in the end, and depending how sentiment grows, I think it's going to take a couple more days of real uncertainty. And I think that if we do have more days of uncertainty in the economy, and with what's going on with trade, then we'll see the precious metals go up. Now, if the Federal Reserve does trigger or kind of give us an indication that they're going to lower rates a quarter point, well, then that's going to have the opposite effect on precious metals, because typically what happens is when you when you lower the rates, it triggers essentially a troubled economy. So actually, they may boost up the price. If they raise the rates, typically the price will go down for gold and silver, because that's an indicator that the economy is doing so well, and we need to kind of pump the brakes on it, so to speak. But when you have cheaper money to borrow, that means you're dealing with a situation where the economy is struggling, or slowing down to a point where it needs to be stimulated, at least from the lending aspect of it. And that's when we may see people move into safe haven assets like gold and silver. we'll see how it plays out. It certainly is interesting to see. But right now, the markets kind of really are stabilizing, and there's not been a whole lot of movement. But we are seeing silver. I think it's quite interesting to see that silver has now been staying up above that $14 level for a while. People were a little bit nervous that it could really test that low of $14. Some people feel like that's the newest floor to get to pierce through. There's others that believe that silver will climb down to 12, or I even heard $8 an ounce. I don't think we'll see it go below there, but I believe that we're getting pretty close to the bottom on silver. Gold, it's amazing. Gold has been pretty resilient, staying up well above the $1,100 and well above the $1,200 mark for quite some time now. And I think it's less likely to take a move downward, even if silver does, at least as much by a percentage-wise. Fascinating indeed to see where things move. As you can see from the percentages of the down here, gold actually moved the least of all these metals upwards, which I think in a sense gives it that sort of stability, that kind of hanging on. It's not as reactionary as maybe silver will be, hence why silver is a bit more volatile. And obviously platinum and palladium are very volatile, and look, platinum moved the most upwards, and even as such, it's still at a very low price. So post your thoughts below. Very interesting, rather tepid news of the day, but I think it's kind of interesting to kind of keep the pulse on the markets, and it just reminds us that we shall press on and continue to accumulate as we can. Would like to extend a multitude of gratitude you all for watching, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.